I hope you guys are doing fantastic. So, I have a treat for us. It is a philosophical treat. It's a historical treat. It is a treat of treats. This guy is Thomas Hobbes. Now, I've always kind of clumped him together with I don't know, philosophers from Enlightenment era. But now that I'm taking a closer look at the timeline, 1588 to 1679. So 1588. That is not Enlightenment. This guy he just barely made it out of the medieval age, right? If we look at it Constantinople falls. You know what? Let's just have a look at the timeline really quick. So, 1578. This is our 15th century, so it's the age of discovery. We have the Spanish conquest that just happened before that. So 15, we're at the kind of end of it. And so let's just have a look at Enlightenment. So Enlightenment starts towards the latter end of the 1600s. So he's kind of a pre-Enlightenment thinker, which is good to know. He's he lives through this. He bridges the 15th century and the 17th century. So definitely not considered Enlightenment thinker. He's before that. And okay. I also want to preface this that I heard about this guy, or I'm starting to think about him, because I started listening to a lecture series, a course, if you will, about kind of early modern Europe, that starts in the mid 17th century all the way to the 19th century, if I'm not mistaken. It's a course that is hosted on the Yale YouTube page, so it's free for everyone, and I would recommend it. I just watched the intro and the first lecture, and that's how I just got fascinated with Thomas Hobbes. So Hobbes is a philosopher. He's English. He's an Englishman. And he is best known for this book, of course, that I mentioned before, called Leviathan, in which he expands a influential formulation of this social contract theory. We all know about contracts. You sign a contract when you are, I don't know, if you're getting a house, for example, there's some sort of contract you need to sign, right? If you're going to work for some employer, you might need to sign a contract, perhaps. It basically, it's a framework for what you need to agree upon if you are to do something, right? So I guess a social contract is some sort of framework we need to agree to in order for something to work, something to happen. So he's considered to be one of the founders of modern political philosophy, folks. This guy is seminal. This guy's very important because political philosophy, of course, is a huge thing that takes up the minds of a lot of people in the world today. So this guy is no less than influential. So in his early life, in his early life, he was overshadowed by his father's departure. Okay, he was taken under the care of his wealthy uncle. Okay, some tidbits. So Hobbes' academic journey begins at Westport, leading him to the University of Oxford. Okay, so this is University of Oxford, circa. I reckon it's basically 1600. So not exactly the modern day Oxford. It's crazy also that there was Oxford in 1600. That's such an old institution. That's pretty insane. He studied classical literature and mathematics, it says here, and he graduates from University of Cambridge. Not really sure how that works, but I guess you can do that. In 1608, he becomes a tutor. It seems like maybe a personal tutor in those days to some family. Super cool. This totally reminds me of Game of Thrones when there's a house Cavendish and they have a seal. Anyways, so which connected him to the intellectual circles and gave him, I guess, extensive travel. So I guess he got some money, he got some cash, cash flow from the Cavendish family allowed him to basically travel, get his dip his toes in a lot of different countries and cultures. Damn, and he met Galileo. That's pretty insane. He literally met Galileo. That's what it says here. That's an insane thing. It's like the mind meld. That's so cool. Okay, so let's go. So he returns to England. After returning to England from France in 1637, Hobbes witnesses the destruction and brutality of the English Civil War. Okay, I have not even touched on this, and I'm not even sure like what this is exactly, but it sounds brutal. Okay, and look, it says destruction and brutality, and now I'm tying into something that I learned in the course that I just did. This era, I'm gonna switch really quickly back to this era of the 1700s, like his formidable years. You see this right here? Check out my video about it, where it's a very shallow primer, but it's brief. It was brutal. It was no less than like the body count of like, it's not the body count of World War I, but it's millions dead. Okay, this is a brutal war. This guy lived through like a very major war in continental Europe. Okay, and that would go to shape his philosophy. Okay, so let's look at the stuff that he wants. Okay, it's gonna I think all tie in. So he witnesses the brutality of the English Civil War between parliamentarians and royalists. Okay, this is the English Civil War, which heavily influences advocacy for governance by an absolute sovereign in Leviathan. So Leviathan is advocating for absolutism. Okay, so he wants this as a solution to human conflict and societal breakdown. So I guess he takes a pessimistic view of human nature. I don't know, I'm reducing it, but he's seeing human nature as like we're conflicted with one another. There's chaos, there's war, and we need to have absolute sovereign. Okay, we need to have absolute kings, absolute power. Okay. So aside from the social contract theory, he also popularizes ideas such as state of nature. So he believes, I think, that man is like very much like flawed. We need to have rules so that we don't just revert to like state of nature, which is a war of all against all, basically. Really like. It's really depressing stuff here, though. His major works include, so De Civ, De Corpore, and De Hominem. De Homin, it seems. I don't know how to pronounce these. Sorry, folks. As well as a posthumous work, which means published after he dies, called Behemoth. Okay. So this guy was a polymath. All these fields. He dipped his fingers into all these fields. That's super cool, and I'm an aspiring polymath. I love this idea of just studying a bunch of stuff for the sake of studying a bunch of stuff. That's super cool, and I appreciate that on a personal note. Let's just see what else is. Despite controversies and challenges, including accusations of atheism, oh my gosh, because that was weird in those days. People were like, you had to belong to some church. Like, you couldn't just be an atheist. That's weird. So basically, this guy was influential, and he in his position. Let's see. Political theory. Is this long? Because I want to do it. Let's take a look at his political theory, just to see what they read here. And let's go into Leviathan because it's a seminal one. So Hobbes influenced. Let's go. So he's influenced by contemporary scientific ideas. Hobbes had intended for his political theory to be a quasi-geometrical system. Not sure exactly what that means. in which the conclusions followed inevitably from the premises. Okay.